Okay, I have seen lots of this stuff, like lots of this stuff throughout this war, but but what the hell is this? I will remove the sound just to avoid copyright claims, guys. This is this is monster. Oh, they go across the minefield. You see, there was the kaboom of the mine. Well, it wasn't the anti-tank one, but anyways, yeah, the mines are exploding. You see, it is. Is there the logic in this thing? This is the monster truck, Russian monster truck, together with a trailer, and there was one more vehicle there. That's Bukhanka standard one, and yeah, probably you'll not see it, but yeah, they stop on the trailer vehicle, and of course Ukraine disables everything. Oh my god. I really didn't want to start this video from these hilarious images, but that is what we have coming from the front lines. And it seems like there is the logic around this stuff. And yeah, the Bukhanka that you saw was coming, and this monster truck with a trailer. They wanted to use this construction as the pontoon bridge to cross the river. Well, it's hard to say where it happened, the front lines are boiling, but they had to cover some of the river. And I just hope that my ghost analysis points out the location today or tomorrow. We're gonna see. No, literally, I mean, what the hell? What is this? Yeah, what the hell is this? Is it a Mad Max? Yes, it is a freaking Mad Max. Is this the chassis of a Ural truck or something? This thing is pretty much robust. It sustains several of the mine kabooms. Armata, is that you? So Russians, because they are in desperate, they're trying to come out with some of the solutions of how to propel forward, how to cross those rivers, how to do something, how to reach Ukrainian positions or even close to Ukrainian positions. And it's not the end. I'm sure that this war will surprise us from the Russian technical perspective many more times. Technologia. It's not every day you see this stuff, but because it's kind of clumsy construction, of course it was spotted, and after it was spotted it was disabled by Ukrainian drones. And yes guys, that's the second integration video with the ground news. I am telling about this sponsor of the channel, sponsor of this video, because I want to tell, and I have to, because we collaborate, and ground news, I use this resource every day. I'm checking the news elsewhere, but what is important for me is the news from Ukraine, of course. You go Ukraine in the search bar and they have a dedicated page for it. And you see Putin claims that Russians will scale invasion year's end without providing timeline. They refer to his yesterday's address or press conference. So yeah, basically make click on every source of the news here. 27 sources report about it. You may have biased distribution, factuality report. This is pretty much high, I would say. Ownership, region where the news is coming from. Also, we have some of the Russian opposition sources, and you may check out the articles themselves and compare them. You immediately have the data. For example, this is the Ukrainian Media United 24. We all know about it, so it's government owned, and the factuality of this particular article is high, so it may differ. It's not the factuality of the actual news side, it's the factuality of the news itself. Censornet is actually the opposition a little bit to Zelensky's government media, so you may check this one, you may load more, and you may find the real picture. What happened? You listen to one side, listen to other side, and here we go. The real thing. The news are not just from Ukraine, but from all around the world, managed into one single website, or it could be an application, very convenient to use, by the way. And my friends, please follow the link for the ground news. It's ground.news/Dennis, or scan the QR code available on the screen. And with my link, you may have 40% of discount, and I recommend to join Vantage Plan, of course. Vantage Plan is the best out there. It gives you all of the capabilities of the platform. And ground news, thank you so much for supporting this channel for more than 2 or 3 years. I think we started to work since 2023. So guys, by checking out the link, you also support the job that I do here, and it matters. Yeah, really matters. So my recommendation, subscribe for the ground news. Alright guys, about the front lines we have the update from Russians actually. I'm still waiting for Michael's analysis for deep state military map source to show us some movement. So sometimes I check this Russian military blogger Rybar, who tells about the Ukrainian army movement, for example in Ternavata, that according to our information is already in a gray zone for a very long time. Nevertheless, for Russians they show that Ukraine goes there with attack, and the Russians are also attacking towards Volshebne or from Volshebne village, trying to expand the territorial gains, and Ukraine went on counterattack towards Железнодорожное. Well, this attack vector Russians show already for several days, as well as Dobropole direction. So there Ukraine moves, and Ukraine tries to cut the supply road for the Russian army between Hulaypole and the northern occupied territories, temporarily occupied. And you know what? Malaya-Takmachka is still under Ukrainian control. It's been recently fully liberated. And again, Russians are showing lots of the blue spots. Blue spots means the strikes on Russian logistics. So it seems like they're panicking a little. They say that Ukraine is expanding the list of the targets hitting gas stations on occupied territories with a range of more than 100 kilometers. They say it openly. Ukrainian formations, they say, continue to enjoy superiority in the small sky in order to isolate the Crimean Peninsula and the southern regions of Novorossiya. Well, Novorossiya doesn't exist, it's the Russian propaganda term, it's basically those occupied territories. More and more evidence of attacks, not only on highways but also on the gas stations, is appearing on internet. Some gas stations in Crimea have emptied, and those were no more than 20 liters given out per one person in a queue. This not only affects the humanitarian situation in Peninsula, but constant attacks also affect the combat capabilities of the Russian armed forces. Local authorities are increasingly calling for restricting the movement of the civilian population on highways, which clearly indicates the worsening of the situation. In addition, the remote mining on Taganrog, Mariupol, Melitopol, Crimea roads is taking place. You saw those mines in the videos. I just updated you yesterday with those footages of the mines, and they may disable trucks, definitely. And there was the information about multiple of the truck drivers being unalive because of the drone strikes. Yes, it is happening like that. As gas stations and reservoirs are being put out of action, it will become increasingly difficult to cover such a long route. Closing the network of 400 kilometers along the shore of Azov Sea is also not an easy task, especially in the face of the constant attacks. Against this backdrop, the activity of the Ukrainian formations on the line of the constant increasing attacks by the enemy are still being recorded in the area of Stepnohirsk, also in the West Zaporizhia direction, as well as Novodalovka and Malaya-Takmachka. On the East Zaporizhia Dnipropetrovsk direction, attempts by armed forces of Ukraine to recapture lost positions are being recorded, or reported, it's better to say, the scale of which is increasing in the face of the attacks on logistics. So Ukraine is using this time, Ukraine is using this advantage, because Russia suffers in its logistic terms, so why not to counterattack in multiple of the points? And we're gonna see with you lots of the action in the future from Ukrainian side, and some of the success even. But again, guys, we shouldn't expect those massive operations as it was back in 2022, Kharkiv counterattack and Kherson counterattack of Ukrainian army. Those were really full-scale counterattacks. With the drones, also in our enemy, those operations are now sadly not possible. And this is the picture just right now while I'm recording this video. So Ukraine launched the long-range strikes on the Russian territory. We also have the warning, again from Ukrainian officials and President Zelensky personally, that Russia is preparing also a massive strike on Ukraine. Whether it's going to happen this night or tomorrow, we'll see. But I'm sure that Russia will continue to strike and terrorize Ukrainians. This tactics doesn't work, but that's what they do. Give me fuel, give me fire. One more refinery in Taganrog this time was hit. Well, this refinery wasn't that huge, but for Ukraine it's important to disable as many as possible, providing its own drone sanctions. And since Taganrog is not that far away from Ukraine, the refinery and the oil storage could have been used by Russians to supply their army group on occupied territories. Yeah, just a small, tiny little volcano there. Not really significant. Yeah, Russians themselves are tweeting those videos all around that they don't have any sort of the fuel. Yesterday there was diesel fuel, but today, 0-0. Why Russians? What the hell is it happening? And you know, most of them, are blaming Ukraine. Then they hear kabooms in their cities, in their refineries, first of all. They say, oh, maybe our guys are right that they're fighting out there in Ukraine. It is our revenge because Ukraine strikes us. But Russia started it. Russia hit Ukraine with everything. February 24th, 2022, and continued to do so. So this is the Ukrainian response, actually. But Russia turns all upside down, and the Russian people, most of them, they believe that. Yeah, some of the voices are telling that, no, we need to stop this war. But those are just few people. And yeah, by the time I'm recording this video, a ballistic missile alert was announced in capital city of Kiev, so probably this night definitely Russia will launch the strike on Ukraine once again. Interesting news, the production of the Russian diesel dropped by 10% in May. And May is not over, it's 31st of May already, and 10% per 1 month. It means that in less than a year it could be 100% or something. Well, Ukraine really greens down Russian oil industry, Russian refineries, Russian oil storages, and as you know already, gas stations and supply trucks, supply trains. So definitely Russia is in a dead end with its war. And how are they going to resolve the current issue? I don't understand how they might do it, honestly. Will Putin call to Donald Trump saying, Donald Trump help me? But Donald Trump would say, okay, I already cut direct military support for Ukraine and the Europeans are buying weapons. I cannot do anything with that because we are dependent on those purchases. And Putin would say, give me tomahawks or what? Or what would he say? So this Russian propaganda that Ukraine is direct satellite of the United States, that United States is fighting against Russia on Ukrainian territory. They told it before Donald Trump was elected. Well, this thing is completely falling apart. This is nonsense, and even Russian military channels confirm that Ukraine is capable with European support and on its own to withstand Russian aggression. Okay. I shared it yesterday, but this is not Photoshop. This is not an AI or something. This is the real painting which Russians did to this Kama strike. They tried to camouflage it in zebra camouflage. Was it the Russian African Corps who got used to the fights in Africa? They came back. We don't have zebras in Ukraine, just in a zoo. And Russians themselves are making fun about it. They say that this solution will help only in case the truck goes in the herd of zebras. They also mentioned that before the ships of the First World War were painted in a similar way, but it didn't help. Russians are trying absolutely everything. This is crazy. For Ukrainian drone operators, I think it's kind of vivid that it's the truck, right? So then the drone flies, the silhouette of the truck is there, and it doesn't matter how you paint it, it's still a truck, and it's been hit, like for example here. Well, it's not a zebra truck, it's just an example of a truck. Crunch battalions. Kalichi, so disabled or disabilities or disabilities attacking a wheelchair should mount machine gun.
Ну погоди, тают нахуй, ёбан. Человек даже пережгутоваться не сможет и съебаться от птички, нахуй. Вот такая вот хуйня происходит у нас, нахуй.
They say that they cannot even, if they get even more wounded, they will not be able to stop bleeding or something because they're disabled already, so, yeah.
На данный момент 283. Тебе тяжело таскать вот эти бревна?
They say that his guts were cut. Yeah, he went to the hospital, there was a surgery, part of his guts cut, and he is now unable to carry something, so yeah. He is disabled also, but was sent somewhere. So they cannot decommission him, as he says, yeah. Yeah, Russian army. It's like that. Well, Russia has this disabled army, alcoholic army, but also professional army. Professional army is not that big, actually, and they fight occasionally in some of the directions, like, for example, now in Konstantinovka and partially Gulyapola. Also, Russian Rubicon drone unit is there. But the rest, massive attacks, infiltration attacks, mostly those guys are doing. And those are also Russian soldiers. They're cosplaying, I guess, Spider-Man and the Fly all together. Yeah, just cosplay. Nothing serious is happening here. Come on, come on. Yeah, nothing is happening here. Just dancing around the Fly. That's the cosplay, how it looks. Challenge. One more challenge of the Russian army.
Всем привет, я медик из Самары, и мне пришла повестка из военкомата.
It's the first time I see that the girls are being conscripted to the Russian army. This Russian lady says that she has a medical degree, and that's why probably they called her to get familiar with her recent data. So you go to the military conscription center and you give your current data and you wait. You wait for maybe mobilization.
Для уточнения моих данных.
Yeah, so данные, it means data. They wanted to obtain my data that I am alive, I'm here, and they may call and get her mobilized for medical purposes, of course.
Yeah.
So they gave her the paper. She went there. They gave her the paper that in case of mobilization, she'll be conscripted. That's it. Not just Russian men, but those ladies are also candidates to join the Russian meat grinder. And for the drone, it doesn't matter whether the Russian base is at the front lines, behind the front lines, or far behind the front lines. So I suggest her not to go to the Russian army, but she went there and gave her data, so she's already kind of strange. But she doesn't have the negative emotions, and she's not saying like, I will not go there, no, no, no. She's saying, okay, okay. And her duties will be, I guess, to put Russian soldiers together to make Ivan Frankenstein's. Well, yeah, our drone operators usually disassemble Russian occupiers in parts. Here's a very interesting photo. It was shared already on many of the channels. Those are Ukrainian FP2 drones, and here's the usual truck, Ukrainian military, and the drones are being launched straight from the truck. So it's the launching platform and also a carrier of the drones. I think 3 of the drones at least are there. So Ukraine is very maneuverable and mobile with those trucks. And by the way, I haven't seen those kind of the launchers in the Russian army. In Iran, there are the trucks like that, also launching their drones. But in Russia, I think they have special catapults. They're not being installed into those commercial vehicles. But Russia is also using commercial vehicles for military purposes, supplying goods to occupied regions and to Crimea. So that's why those FP2 drones are also flying to hit Russian logistics. Yeah, so this is the Russian truck. It happened just a few hours ago in the morning. Drone hit this vehicle, everyone is alright, this is just the fuel, driver was there screaming that he is alive, it's kind of strange by the way, but the truck is no go, of course. The driver is freaking lucky and they're transporting fuel for military purposes as well. Oh, Danish Prime Minister is saying that Russia may expand war beyond Ukraine. Mette Frederiksen said in an interview with Gazeta Wyborcza that the West must take the risk of a new escalation by Russia seriously. According to her, a scenario in which Moscow could transfer aggression to other neighboring countries is possible. She said that despite the fact I do not come from your part of Europe, I see the current threats the same way you do. Okay, so part of Europe, not part of Europe, it's Europe. It should be like the common alliance, yeah, without its own common army. That's a very bad thing, but she understands at least the threat for entire union. And again, people tend to say sometimes in the comments also under my videos, with what, conscripts and quad bikes? Well, Russia still has resources, guys. If they announce a new mobilization and if they put their economy on the war rail straight away, they'll have enough soldiers to start not the full-scale attack, but the way smaller operation compared to what they do in Ukraine. The idea for Russia is to provoke NATO and to check the Article 5 and for NATO to internally collapse because of the inability to counteract to this Russian aggression. That's the plan of Putin, at least. That is how he thinks. But whether it might happen like that, no one knows. Only practice could show. The problem is, from what I see, that our allies, Europeans, and across the ocean, they still follow the policy, do not escalate, no, it will not happen to us. So some silly weak policy, all right, as for me. And Putin sees that. So I would say that there is a great chance for the escalation towards other countries. And NATO should take it seriously, Europe as well, and this fluffy, weak policy should be avoided. Then you speak with Russia. They understand just force. And that's what I'm trying to say with my videos, that with weak policy, NATO makes this conflict more possible. And you see how Russia acts? The provocations, once again, Medvedev is yapping around. So if Ukraine tries to attack Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, we'll destroy all nuclear power plants in Ukraine, he said. Well, I don't think that they will do it because they will be harmed first of all. But Russia is using this card of escalation. You see how mad we are stupid, we are completely out of touch with reality. We can nuke the entire Europe by destroying nuclear power plants. We're mad, we're crazy. Well, actually, they're not like that. Well, maybe Medvedev is, but Putin takes care about his life. They want Europe to think that they're mad and crazy, that they may do absolutely everything. But we know that Putin's actual behavior is different. And of course, he will not escalate to a nuclear confrontation. He will not hit those nuclear power plants or something, no, because Putin loves his life and he wants to live longer. There was an article published, I think it was The Economist or Wall Street Journal, that Putin is investing $25 billion at least into the program to extend his personal life. There are scientists, engineers, some of the magicians probably. That's the sickness of every dictator. Stalin was exactly like that. So do you really think that the guy like that would start nuclear war? I don't think so. What they might do is to try to show that they're crazy, unhinged completely, and Europe could fear that. That's their goal, that's their tactics, to intimidate verbally with some of the muscles, launching a Oreshnik or something like that, to show to Europe that they're unhinged. What the hell? This guy, he forgot his pills. This is a real unhinged guy. Donald Trump is out of his mind. The drone port on the roof of the White House ballroom. Drones are getting popular, you see. The White House, some of the AI slope drones there, AI slope warriors, and you know why you need a ballroom, America? Ballroom will protect everything. It will protect the United States, Washington DC, and the entire USA. Yeah, because to protect ballroom, Donald Trump would do absolutely everything. Okay, this video is not about Donald Trump. However, there's some of the news about Iran. I'm not touching the topic too much because the Santa Barbara with those peace negotiations is useless. My friends, that's all what I want to say in this video, and please check out the link for the ground news. It's in the video description just below. Fantastic news aggregator. I use it all the time to receive the information not just from Ukraine but from entire world. Thank you guys for clicking out the link, because that is how you support the channel. And my friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.